Hello, and welcome to reCapping with Delora
and Ashley.
Please follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at reCapping Podcast.
Also, rate, review, and subscribe to our show on your favorite podcast platform. We're on all the things.
We want to hear your thoughts on the movies and shows we review.
Leave us a comment on Apple Podcasts or our YouTube channel, and we will read them during the show.
Or reach out to us on social media. We love talking all things entertainment and pop culture with you.
Thank you guys so much for listening.
Thank you. Hello, Ashley.
Hello, hello, hello.
How are you doing?
I'm good. You know, it's the holiday season, my birthday month. Woo, woo, woo. So I'm very excited.
Yes. Well, I'm excited for you because support. And I'm excited because we have my best friend on the pod. Her name is Alia. She is a business owner out of Detroit, Michigan. I'm setting up you as like the profile of our contestants of this reality show. Okay, Alia. Welcome, Alia, to our humble abode, recapping with Delora and Ashley.
Hello, hello. Very glad to be here.
We're so happy to have you.
She was also day one. She's listened to our beginning episodes. We have improved, I promise.
2 hours plus. We used to think we were on the Joe Rogan podcast or something.
Or something. Right. But
right.
You know what?
You're here now, so.
Over 300. Are we over 350? Yeah.
No, we're not over 350, but we're over 300.
Over 300 episodes. Global presence.
Yes.
So, you know, we're doing it. So.
Love it. I'm actually quite honored to be invited on to have this conversation because you all are kind of a big deal. Even as your best friend, I'm like, you're just kind of a big deal. So.
Oh, I love you. So we have the wonderful opportunity to talk about the second part of Love is Blind, season 7. We're referring to episodes 7 through 13. Here's, a quick summary. Singles try to find a match and fall in love without ever seeing each other face to face, as emotional connections attempts to conquer physical attraction. As I said in our previous recap, Rotten Tomatoes gave this show 65% from the critics, 35% from everyday watchers, and Google users gave this 81%. So, Alia, the reason why I invited you to join this conversation is because you love you a good dating show. Like, every time I'm talking to you, I'm like, what's
Married at First Sight?
Married at First Sight, Love is Blind. And so I was like, oh, I would love to hear your thoughts on the show. We typically like to grade. Ashley and I really didn't grade the first part because we still had the second part to speak to. But what's your grade for season 7 of Love is Blind?
Ooh, well, this will be a grade coming from a viewer who started watching Love is Blind season 1 during lockdown. I was in, and I'm going to refer to and agree with Ashley's commentary for part 1 of this review. It really was at its purest, season 1. So now we're in season 7, about to go into season 8. I'm going to give it a good C, maybe a C minus, just coming from first season to now.
Yeah, and how many seasons have you watched in between?
I've watched all of them, actually.
Okay.
Some of the ones in the middle are a little forgettable.
Got it.
Yeah.
Do you watch any of the spin-offs or any of the other countries? I was just noting how many countries it is now.
Yes. I have seen Mexico. I have seen Brazil. I started watching Japan and Sweden. Sometimes you get into some cultural differences and you can't really vibe with how the show is going or the matches that are being made. But yes, I watched the other franchises as well. So
Fascinating.
Ashley?
I still have an NA right now, but I feel like I probably do fall on like the C scale as well. I think after now watching it in totality, I was saying before we started recording, the second half, like I got invested. Cause once I start watching something, even if I'm hate watching it, you got me. Because now
Yeah.
I'm down the rabbit hole. And so I had my two favorite couples that we talked about on part one that I was actively rooting for, and shenanigans start ensuing, right? And so
Girl.
Shenanigans.
I'm just
Woo.
like, yo, y'all got me. I'm invested, and y'all still had to throw some drama in here. One reason why this season gets a C2 for me and not a lower grade is because I did like the camaraderie between the guys and the ladies on this season, and I enjoyed the fact that it seemed like there were some genuine friendships, not just relationships that came out of the season.
That's a great
So
call out.
yeah, so I liked that aspect of the show. So I agree. I would probably give it like a C because again, my only reference point is season one, and nobody's topping Lauren and Cameron. Nobody.
At all.
They are the standard as far
Amen
as
to
I'm
that.
concerned. But for our audience, Ashley and I, this is our first full season since season one. And so that's why, we also have you, Alia, because it's like, what's been going on. And we love to get your thoughts on that. For me, I have given this season a B minus. It was entertaining. And like you said, mess ensued. And let's talk about it. All right, so giving a spoiler alert. So, y'all, I broke up this particular conversation into sections and I labeled these sections based off of the songs it inspired out of my soul. Okay, so the first section here is getting to know you, getting to know all about you. Okay, y'all, we are out of Mexico, we are out of the pods, and they are living together. They are meeting the friends and family. And I'd love to know who, living situations stood out to you all.
So, living situations, it's going to be Hannah and Nick.
Yes.
They're the first standout.
Yep.
The tension and the awkwardness that ensues between the two of them, the passive aggression.
Was it passive though?
You know what? That's a good point. Good
the
point.
Aggressive aggression.
The aggressive aggression. Oh my goodness. I really hated to see Nick being bullied. However, I think that of course he's got some immaturities, but watching those two and their living situation, they are the first standouts to me.
You absolutely like. I think it
There's
was
actually no other answer, really.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we could talk about Tim and
Oh, we will, but yeah.
What's her name? Alex. Thank you. But for sure, in terms of who was the toughest to sit and watch them try to cohabitate, absolutely Hannah and Nick. Hannah was nasty. Like, I don't know any other way to say it. I would not even want her to speak to children the way that she was speaking to Nick in terms of correcting and her frustration level with every little thing. And oh, I sweep and vacuum every day, and that's my expectation, and it's my way or the highway. And oh my God. I was like, if you are the representation for all women, you are making us look so bad.
And you know what was interesting? They were the youngest couple.
Yeah.
So in some
26
ways,
and 28.
Yes. And it was like one of those things where it's like, is this really you, or are you a reflection of how you were raised? Because like the other couples were much older. So I feel like in some ways they might have had their own habits, their own, I don't know. I'm reaching, but what
You're
I'm
trying to give Hannah a little bit of grace because I think she's going to be a nightmare as she gets older as well if she does not change her behavior.
I can see that. And like literally, I was annoyed though with Nick because what do you mean you stay at home to save money, but you don't know what bills you pay? like that really grind my gears. I understand Hannah's perspective, because it's like she's like, I've been on my own since I was 18. I know all of my feels. You know what I mean? I think that's where the incompatibility definitely showed his ugly head. I mean, and Ashley and I talked about this in the last recap. Sis had a list of things that bothered her that was visible to him, and
The list.
I was done with her then. But this whole second half was a lot.
Yeah.
And she kept like saying, "Oh, well, I'm a bitch. It's okay. This is just how I talk." Blah blah blah. But she could never take it. She could never take it. Whenever there was a time where Nick said something back, it's like I don't know. It was not great.
It's all in the way you approach something too. It was her approach. Like to your point, maybe you would have been a bit frustrated with Nick because he has been living with his parents, which I didn't see that coming.
It was giving failure to launch for sure.
I didn't see that coming. But this came up on a season of The Bachelor too, where Pilot Pete had been living with his parents, but it was just he was not it wasn't the Nick situation. But I still think there's a way to convey how you feel about something and not in the way that Hannah ever did. And also Hannah would always say, I love you to death, but I turned you from a boy to a man. And this you don't love me. Let me go.
I felt my balls shrivel up and fall off. You know what I mean?
I mean, it's a definition of like love me well or leave me alone. Like you clearly knew after a while, and maybe since day one, since you saw that man, that was not the man for you. So let him go.
I completely agree with that. I was hoping, I was really, really hoping that Nick at some point would have just said to her, look, it does not seem that you like me. It does not seem like we are compatible, but I'm not going to stand here and live with you on our way to getting married and let you treat me like I'm a little boy. That I did not understand why somebody just would not put their foot down and go, this is just not working. Let's just end this. It was painful to watch.
It was absolutely painful. So, Ashley, you brought up the other couple, Alex and Tim. Talk about opposites, right? Tim's house, he had a house, one. It was decorated, even though it was very masculine and clean, because he's also former military. Alex, I don't think they were able to really walk through the door.
Right.
I felt like that could have been the beginning of the end or something when it came to Tim and Alex, because Tim's face looking at Alex's apartment said so much. I'd love to know your thoughts.
I completely agree. The trash bags were killing me. Some of this is donation, some of this I'm gonna sell, some of this I'm gonna keep. I just gotta go through all of it. Honey, you are a hoarder. You are a hoarder. And you knew that these cameras were coming. You knew the cameras were coming to your house. You didn't think to yourself, let me just go make a real quick trip or hire a housekeeper or get some of my friends to come over here so that the world does not see my mess. I agree. It was probably the beginning of the demise for them.
Well, I mean, she had already called him a little bitch, so I think it was a little bit before the end. But yo, her closet floor was the end for me. I said, ma'am, how do you navigate life like this? Like, I think her job title was like fashion consultant. So at first I was giving her some grace for like her living room, because I'm like, well, maybe she does like videos. So, it kind of gave a survival of the thickest. Remember when she had chaos because of everything she was doing with fashion? I was like, I'll give you a little bit of grace. But once I saw that closet floor, I said, oh no, there's no way you're living like this. Okay, so you're filthy. The moral of the story is you're filthy.
That is the bottom line. We're going to talk about Monica and Steven. So their living together situation didn't last very long because Sir didn't come home. He claimed to have gone through a sleep study, but she found out he was emotionally cheating on her by some explicit text messages. What did they say? What did these text messages say? I want to know.
He said he deleted them.
I think he is one of the bigger gaslighters of this season, because I'm gonna go ahead and bring him up from the union. The way he was like, oh, I know I messed up, I know I effed up, but you're not gonna believe me, so I'm not gonna tell you. Sir, what are you talking about?
It was the glasses for me. I was like, he came out like I'm about to be Malcolm X out here. Put my glasses on.
With it 5% black coming out.
He strikes me as a person who honestly just, if you had a conversation with him, and we can go back and look at the clips of when he was interacting with Monica, and she would, that is her name, right? Monica.
Yeah.
Where she would be talking to him and he'd go, you're right. He would probably call himself a POS. He just seems like that type of person who would just agree with your, if you were talking bad about him, he would probably agree with you. Like, you're right. I'm worthless. I'm nothing. He looks like that type of person. And I think that he just kind of leans into that. I don't know, maybe just part of his personality. Maybe he's got a personality disorder or something like that. But he seems like the type of person who leans into that part of himself. Just, I'm no good, and I know I'm no good, and it's fine. It is what it is.
But he keeps making these bad decisions because he already told Monica that he was a known cheater. I'm glad that even though I have thoughts about Nick and Vanessa hosting the show, I did feel like them asking Monica about why did you still move forward with him? I thought that was finally a good question, because Monica didn't give me what I was needing out of that either. She's like, oh, well, he said he changed. Did he?
I find Steven to be hilarious. And there's nothing he did throughout the show that like super annoyed me, because I just found him to be so comical. I was like, I think I would love him as like a friend. He would crack me up, but I don't know how Monica ever took him seriously for like a love interest. That was always my big thing, was even in the pause, I was like, I think I said this in part 1, Delora, I was like, why is she talking about this man in such a way that doesn't make sense based off of the conversations we've heard? Like, he's the best man. He's so this, he's so that. I'm like, where does that shine through? Maybe these are the parts of the conversation that were boring to producers and they didn't include. Because I'm like, I just don't see it. Like, Steven is funny, but he doesn't seem like deep or like some man that you're just looking at and revering, like I didn't
Agreed.
get it. I didn't get their dynamic
at all
throughout the show. And so like she's a princess a little bit.
I always felt like I felt like she was too good for him. Princess. I truly did. Yes.
She's talking about YSL and he's like,
yes.
a what?
What is that?
Problem number 1.
What is that? She wanted flowers. She had to school him and instruct him on, I mean, I told you that I wanted this. And I just want you to, I want your actions to match your words and what you said in the pot. And it's just, whew. Yeah, she's princess for sure. But I agree with you, Ashley. Their match was baffling because he was not a deep person. He wasn't anybody wise or intelligent or anything like that. And the way that she described him was just not him at all.
And because of that, they broke up. She was like, give me my money and go. Now, I will say, Alia, only having season 1 as a reference, I was not prepared for the brutal breakups that happened from episode 7 to 13. I was not ready. And they were the first to go home. Okay.
They were going down hard and fast, weren't they?
Was it like this in previous seasons?
Not that I recall. You would have some who wouldn't make it. But a lot of them in previous seasons, they would make it at least to the altar to say yes or no. So,
that's what I thought. I thought that was a prerequisite going into season 7.
But to be honest, it would be much more brutal to make it to the altar and hold your breath and wait to see if they're going to say yes and no. I actually would prefer
in front of your family
in
after money being spent.
Yeah,
that's real.
Yeah.
So on to my next segment. If you want to be my lover, you got to get with my friends.
I love the variety of these songs.
The couples meet family and friends. And y'all, the standout family for me was Marissa's mama.
Woo!
Jesus.
I
text you, Delora. I text you about this one because I said,
Gangster.
Damn.
She told, I don't know where to begin. That she called her daughter a bitch, or that she was going to cut Rams's balls off if he broke her daughter's heart.
She is too pretty to be so hardened. Like, ma'am, but what have these men put you through?
Right. But it sounds like Marissa's family, I don't think all of them have the same father. So.
No, you heard them talking about their daddies could make up like a team.
A volleyball team.
Like they was set. I said, y'all should go talk this shit in your mama face like this.
Yeah.
Woo! That told me everything I need to know about her. No.
And they came up poor. So living that sort of life, mom was hard. She had it hard. And she does not, has absolutely no faith in what a man could do, would do, none of it. I don't believe in forever. That's what she said.
She said that.
She said 20 years maybe. Forever. Have a good time. And then it's a wrap. Wrap it up.
It's over.
She said, will you sign a prenup? And I appreciated that, honestly. I do appreciate that because I don't feel like there's enough conversation around that.
Because where was Rachel Lindsay's daddy saying that to her on The Bachelor?
Out of my mouth. I was like, you are a lawyer. Your dad is a federal judge. Y'all didn't think to sign a prenup?
Shout out to Rachel. We love Rachel.
We love her. She's a friend of the pod, as far as I'm concerned. But the mom called Rams. This is what Marissa called him. Out on his Jerry curl.
Flash dance.
Oh, she's like, I don't like it.
On his hair, she's like, I don't like this whole look. Your clothes, this 80s hairstyle. I don't know what this is doing.
Not with it.
It's not giving.
It's not giving anything.
But if Marissa did not have, if she didn't leave that table with any other assurances that her mama loved her and wanted to protect her, that was Mama Bear. No matter what the differences were in the past, she was ready. She was ready.
I want to say too, I think we got set up because as an audience, how could we be prepared for Marissa's mama giving Marissa? Like you would never meet Marissa, somebody like Marissa with that energy and expect for their mama to come out like a pit bull at you like that. Like there's no way to prepare you.
That's a great point because you would imagine that her mom would be the same, right?
Yes,
overly happy,
or like quiet, a little demure, a little mindful. You know what I mean? Like just never would have seen that coming.
I would have loved to know how many times her mother told her to sit the fuck down,
bruh,
through the years. Sit your ass down.
Well, to your point, Alia, you know it's definitely coming from a place of like love, protection. I have to be here for my kids because I'm the only one they got, all of that energy.
I hate men for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that whole prenup, and Ramsey saying that he agreed. Okay, well, sure. We all know how that turned out, but he was listening to her because he's probably nervous.
Yeah, definitely nervous. I'll say Ramses is another Steven in a sense for me where I was kind of like, you're too agreeable. Like I don't feel like you're being genuine because you're being way too agreeable about way too many things.
Y'all want to know something?
I agree with that.
Y'all want to know something?
Ready.
Both Steven and Ramses are Cancer.
Oh boy.
And for those listening to our podcast, I myself am a Cancer sun. I do not recognize Cancer men, especially in dating situations. I've yet to defend one. Okay. Oh, no. The only one right now is Cameron from season 1. Okay, from Love Is Blind. He's a
Oh,
Cancer.
Cameron is a Cancer?
He is. And
Oh,
it makes sense because he cries all the time. But he's a sweet one. He hasn't been hardened by life, apparently, or something. But
I was gonna say, then Cameron blows the stereotype out the water because he's the best.
But Ramsey and Steven kind of solidifies it, you know.
Well, Rams is just, if we're talking about people on the show in general, it just was never one of my favorite people, but I really liked Marissa. So I was like, well, Marissa, I guess we doing this. If you like this man, it's cool. Let's go.
See, I never liked her fully because I didn't trust her happiness. I
agree with that. I was going to ask you, Ashley, what appealed to you about her personality? I was going to say, I just personally think she gave very 13 going on 30 energy to me.
Very Jennifer Garner. Got it.
Yeah, very.
So I think we talked about this a little bit on the first half because Laura was saying then that she didn't really like Marissa like that. I think I just found Marissa to be, no matter her personality or like quirkiness or whatever, I felt her as her being herself. Like I was like, I appreciate that you came on with the natural hair. You're the only Black chick on here who's rocking your natural hair. You have a high level energy. You bring it into these conversations. You talk about your military service and all these things. I just found her. I just like that. I felt like she was being herself, and I enjoy people who, I mean, hate them or love them a little bit. They are who they are. So, not Hannah, but everybody else.
Clarification.
And also I root for Black women. So it's a lot. It takes a lot for Black women to like be on my bad side.
Speaking of family and friends, she didn't have any Black friends.
I noticed
not a one.
She had some diversity, but not Black diversity.
But and so it does matter.
I noticed. We talked about this. I said, who are your people? Remember, we talked about this whole thing. I said, Marissa, who are Marissa's people?
Yes.
Clearly, there have been things that have happened in Marissa's life, but I still liked and rooted for Marissa, particularly once we get into the throes of what we're going to get into. My heart broke for her.
Okay. Another standout for the meeting family and friends, Alex and Tim. We see Tim meeting Alex's family first. They essentially lied about them being engaged to her father, not until she got her father's approval, essentially. That's what Tim was asking for. It's worth noting that Tim decided to barbecue that morning, take care of things for her family. He read the letter that he wrote her in pods to her father. We can also see that Alex's father might have gone through some health challenges. And so
he has MS.
MS, yeah.
Yes. And, it was an emotional moment. Alex then meets Tim's family. Things seemed fine until Tim comes over one day with a very made up mindset. I don't ever want to see you again. I was not prepared for how brutal. Again, that's all I have for these breakups. These were some brutal breakups. How this man from the pods crying, talking about, I get a chance to give my parents another daughter, to I never want to see you again, because he doesn't want to hear what she has to say about taking a nap. Y'all, what happened?
They were trauma bonding in the pods. And I believe that Tim, looking at the situation, probably had an idea of what he wanted out of a wife. And there were elements of her that he didn't get that. And he decided to brutally chop that thing off. Thus you get the, I never have to see you again. The nap was not that big of a deal. Not in my opinion. And if she is a person who works the way that she says that she works, there was no understanding of any of that. So yeah, brutal breakup. But I think that they got to that point because Tim had an idea, he didn't get it, and he wanted to control things in a way that he couldn't anymore. So I think that's how they ended.
I think it was a wrap since the Cabo trip, honestly. Like, I don't feel like Tim ever got over that first disagreement they had, because, and they bring it up later in the reunion, the look on his face when she was trying to be like, we can get past this. I agreed with Vanessa. He had already looked like he checked out. Like, when you're I don't feel like Tim knows how to disagree, if I'm honest. Like, I don't think he knows how to handle conflict.
He's missing something. I can say that with confidence because he did not handle that well.
Yeah, I don't know how he navigates his interpersonal relationships generally, but it feels like he has an expectation. And if you don't meet those expectations, he doesn't really know how to navigate through that, right? He just assumes you should know or be this type of person. And if you're not that, then there's nothing else I should have to say to you because this just ain't it. And that's a weird mindset to me, especially like in relationships, because nobody's ever going to be perfect. Nobody's ever going to do everything to the extent that you want them to do. But I think with Alex, he never even was really ready to give her another real shot. I think he took all that frustration and festering and whatever else he probably still had from that first argument and brought that into this second one and just used it as an excuse to be like, yo, I'm done. But the way he did it, I had no respect for. Like, if you ever cared about her, if you ever had feelings for her, if you ever loved her, you don't speak to people like that. Like, I can honestly say, I never want to see you again.
He talked
it's also
at
like,
her.
Bro, we're on a show together. You're going to see me. So what was the point of you even delivering that line?
Right.
It was so crazy. I was telling Alia this. I felt like he's the type of man that wants a wife. He did not want Alex. He wanted a wife. And because of that, as everyone mentioned before, she didn't check off some of his list. And so it's literally to the left. Fun fact, Tim is a Virgo. Let's go ahead. I told y'all I was gonna bust out these zodiac signs because I got it all from research of the show.
You know what's sad is these are allegedly all the signs that I am compatible with. So what does that tell you? Lord Jesus.
We're sister signs because we're either opposites, like incompatible, or we bring out the best of each other. And I like to think of the latter because
hope so.
Of course, right? We've been doing this for years now. But let's go back to Hannah and Nick. Hannah was so hard on Nick in front of her family. Red flag. And Nick's family apparently loved her.
Did bring great gifts to meet them. I was like,
agree.
Let me take some
notes.
I
was impressed. Same. I was like, ooh, I need to do that again.
Notes.
But again, I mean, all of her family and friends is like, that's just how Hannah is. I'm like, I don't have much patience and I don't have much to say again because what Hannah did was she was hard as hell on Nick.
Her mom tried a little bit when they were having that dinner. Again, I have to, I guess, maybe remind myself of her family dynamic because when they first moved in and she was telling Nick to make the pasta, she had a brother come over.
Yes, that's what I wanted to highlight too. I think then he was not part of the core family. And I wonder if his, I'm making assumptions, but I think he might be part of the LGBTQIA family,
Oh, he said it. He's gay, but he didn't have, well, when she left the room during that first dinner.
Yes.
And he expressed his opinion about her and her personality. He goes, well, that's how it is with her. It's one of the points of, I guess, contention or disagreement that they've had is
yes,
she can serve it, but she can't take it sort of thing. And then there was the dinner, I think, with her mom and her stepfather and another little brother. And her mom was doing her best. She told her, calm down. You seem stressed out. He's pretty calm and he's polite and we're digging him, but you're the one who is really on edge here. So we're just trying to understand why you're so tense. So I think mom tried a little bit. And then the brother at the first dinner really was trying to give Nick some information. And Nick had a moment too, where he was just being honest with the brother, like, hey, we've had these moments and I can take it only for so long. But by the 20th time, you tell me that I ain't, it's really going to get to me. So she's got people who try to tell her about herself, but Lord.
I'm glad y'all brought this up. I didn't realize that was her brother, the first guy. I was thinking that was just like a friend that came by. So I didn't even catch that.
Yeah, I don't know what her family dynamic is.
Yeah. And then we have G and Taylor.
The only
Basically,
grown-ups on the show.
and our faves, essentially, both families had major reservations. They were like, y'all are level-headed people, and you did what? You're going to get married when? I just think their family were probably the most realistic out of everyone we met. What do you all think?
Agreed.
Well, what's funny is I remember when Garrett's mom started crying, I was like, shouldn't you have done this before he went on the show? Like you upset now? Like we in it now, baby. Like this, you should have expressed these extreme, and I'm sure she did, but it was just like you should express these extreme reservations about the process before we get to the point of you meeting his now fiance. But I say that because I've gotten to watch their development, right? I've gotten to see them in the pod, see their connection. They're one of two couples that I was rooting for throughout the show. So it's not to say I don't understand, because just like I said in part one, Brittany was the most real to me when she came out, saw Leo, and was like, "Who is this stranger?" You know what I'm saying? Like, am I really engaged to a stranger?
Harpo, who is this
Yes,
man?
like that was so real. So I agree that they were very real. They also were a very like down to earth coupling. Like both
Agreed.
of them were very much like science based, logical. We got our matching tattoos of shit, you know. I enjoyed them.
And Taylor is
So
gorgeous. Oh,
she
Yes,
looks like
she
Olivia
is.
Munn. That's what I kept thinking when she was in the pods. I was like, if Garrett wanted an idea of what she looked like, I'd just say Olivia Munn, and there you go. But I appreciated that their families weren't, I guess, essentially putting on for the camera, in the sense of like Taylor's dad not wanting to be on and all these things. Like
Yeah,
it did make them
yeah,
feel real.
I agree. All right, so a lot happens. There's this 1920s flapper party where our favorite couple had their real rift. She's just like, you out here texting your ex and lying about it. Red flag. Then there was dress shoppings, parties, and wedding. So let's go ahead and talk about Marissa and Ramses again. We are literally days away from the wedding. I think the marriage license was completed. We started seeing red flags when they took that boat ride, and she was like, I feel like I'm doing all of this by myself. I would like for you to, help. And then one day, Rams apparently was talking to a friend or family or both, and he just got the cold feet and said, I can't do this.
your energy is too much for me to live with. That's what he said.
You are too much. And she burst out in tears. Now, according to Marissa, every ex boyfriend has said this about her. They love her in the beginning, and then all of a sudden, she's too much. Mind you, in earlier episodes, he was upset that she wasn't all over him because she was like, hey, bro, I'm on my period. Leave me alone. So, what is it? Did he just want the sex without the condom?
Girl.
And then
he said,
like,
if there's one thing I got to clear up on this reunion, it's that.
He got the cold feet. He realized, I think, in his words, yes, he said, your energy is too much for me to live with, and I'm just now realizing that. Now, was I the only one who I thought for a moment he was making a comment about how he might potentially get back with his ex? Was I wrong about that? Well, when he said he had the conversation with his niece, Ladalis, or whoever that was, and he was saying how he didn't realize he got more information about how hurt his ex was after the divorce.
yes. I didn't think they were getting back together. I think he was hurt that he didn't
He
realize
didn't know.
how impactful their breakup was
Okay.
to
Yeah, that's
his
how I took it.
ex-spouse.
Okay. Because I said, is he about to go down this road? Like, well, I just
And
realized.
I don't think we got a chance to meet his side, or at least they didn't show it. We just really saw Marissa introducing him. And then we did see his men when they were looking at suits and stuff like that, but they weren't a part of the getting to know you segment, you know?
Well, he mentioned his mom, very Christian, very religious. That was number one. And then number two, he had an older brother. His dad passed away when he was like
Yeah. He
20
said
or something
20.
like that.
Yeah.
And the older brother was from a different dad. We don't know what their relationship was like. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he had too many people to actually come on camera anyway.
That's a great
But
point. But this breakup was sad, y'all. What was the saddest breakup for y'all? I'm curious.
Definitely this one. That girl cried her eyes out. I said, Marissa, I don't think even in film, I don't know if I've seen anybody weep like this in the moment. Like she was like, this pain is just too much. I didn't know how to feel. I was like, do we have to linger on this? This is so brutal and devastating to watch. Calling her mom, hearing her talk to her on the phone. I was like, at one point, like, good for you that you can feel your feelings this deeply in the moment to be able to hopefully move through them. But damn.
you're better than me. I was watching it, telling her, girl, if you don't get up off that floor, you do
I'm
not
like,
let
this
a
man
man
ain't worth it.
you do not let
Yes.
a man tell you more than once that he don't
That
want to
he
be with
don't
you.
want you.
Woo.
Get up, drop that ring off, and you call your mama when you're in the car. Do not
That's
get out of that apartment.
See,
Because
this is why she
he
needs
kept,
black friends. No.
I mean, and her mama was the right one to call because she's the
She
gangster. But
was. Yeah. Yeah.
I was upset actually watching her sob and cry and
Yeah.
hugged him when he told her and asked him 3 times, was he sure? I said, girl, you don't do that.
We do
Get up
not.
off that floor.
No.
Do not hug him. Pick yourself up when you're not in his presence. But
It's so
it
funny
was
that you say this because in college I had a crush on a guy and we never really did anything. You know who I'm talking about, Alia. Like we weren't together and we weren't in a situationship, but we were like friends that could be more, but he never like asked me out, so therefore we weren't anything. But he officially like was like, oh, I'm done entertaining you. He said that to me and I'm like, oh my god, how dare you? And because he was a very hot and cold moody guy, like Rams is here. And it was my one of my old friends, Kristen. She was like, girl, don't cry over that boy. And she said, you don't want to get caught up with a guy who don't know the difference between greens and kale or something crazy like that. And it made me laugh so hard. And I'm like, thank you for getting me together. She's like, we are
man
not going to be crying over this boy. And
at
I'm like,
all.
Yeah.
I'm so good.
You've literally known him 2 weeks. You'll be fine.
I mean,
You will be fine.
I
For me,
hear
it
both
was
of
a
y'all,
whole
I hear both of
year
y'all,
of
but at the same
school,
time,
FYI.
let me just say this too. One of the things that sometimes I think we have to be more mindful of is it is okay to feel your feelings. Like as Black
Yes,
women,
of course.
yes, we like to pick ourselves up, be strong, laugh it off, but like sometimes let that woman feel her feelings. Maybe she be embarrassed about it later when she watches it back. She might be, but in that moment, girl, go ahead and cry your little eyes out if that's what you need to do versus picking up a bat and maybe punching up whatever else she could have possibly done in that moment to get that release. Because obviously she was truly devastated. They had just signed a marriage license. She had just tried on a wedding dress.
Yeah,
It was a
no,
lot.
and I'm not denying that at all. I guess for me, it was just so frustrating. And she pointed it out. She was like, it was a lot of I in those statements. I felt this, I felt that. She's like, we were supposed to be a we. When do I have to say? And honestly, I feel like this was pretty similar to even the Tim situation because it was like he made up his mind and
Yes.
was like washing his hands of the situation
Yes.
and moving on.
Right.
Yeah, that was rough. And the other breakup, Nikki D and Hannah, again, she set him down with her list and told her all the reasons why they were over. That's all I got to say about them because I'm ready to get into this mess. Okay.
Well, the only thing I was going to say real quick about Nick and Hannah is to Aaliyah's point earlier about why didn't Nick ever just say like, yo, this isn't working, you don't like me? Part of this did make me wonder like how much Nick was being authentic on camera. And I
Yeah.
know that comes up again later, but it's just kind of like, Nick, I know that somewhere deep inside of you, you was ready to pop off on this lady a couple times. And like, how much of that were you holding back for the sake of like your
15 minutes
perception on camera?
Because I have to say, watching the show, it was giving Team Nick based on how it was produced, until we get to the reunion, and we will get there shortly. Y'all, we need to talk about one of my favorite couples from part one, but I ain't got no real emotions towards them right now because this is such a sticky situation. Okay. I am talking about Tyler and Ashley. I'm always here for Black girls finding love and being loved on out loud, but he revealed to her that he has 3 quote sperm babies for a friend who was in a lesbian relationship, and he is not their father. And this is exhausting, y'all. Okay. Ashley A was like, okay, I love you. I believe you. They have this beautiful wedding. But what has happened post these episodes showing does not paint Tyler in the best light.
So tell me about it, because I have not.
There is some fodder on this internet that even goes back to him being engaged back in 2016 with a fiance who later said, I was committed to this man, but our legacy was taken away from me because she did not know about him, sperm father to the kids. And I say this to say, quote, because according to the baby mama, they conceived naturally both times for the first kid and the twins. And the twins is actually where it gets hairy, because at least with the first child, the friend and her wife are on the birth certificates, whereas the twins, he is on the birth certificate, and they are essentially Oops baby because he was in the life of the son, the firstborn son.
What you mean it was father? Oops baby? They were regularly engaging in sexual activity?
He was involved after she broke up with her wife, and he didn't want his son to be raised by a single mother, so he got involved.
So they were in a relationship.
And she said, I can't believe that happened, considering she said that she's lived her whole life up to this point as a lesbian. And so it
wasn't, so I don't know if they were, she didn't say they were, she said that the twins were planned. They got together in the interview, if I'm recalling it correctly. So I'm
going off of her videos that she posted on Twitter or TikTok.
Well, so the first son
was planned.
Cairo,
yes,
was the sperm donation without a contract, without any of that. But we'll get into that.
He didn't give up any of his rights.
Didn't give up any rights. And then when the ex-wife left the situation, he stepped in to help with Cairo, the firstborn. And she said that the twins were conceived naturally. He was in the house, co-parenting, there every day, yada, yada. So when he called them sperm babies and said that he had no relationship, no connection, no involvement with them, she felt heartbroken, betrayed, all of that. I think Tyler is probably a good guy who got himself in a very sticky situation, thinking that he was doing a good thing and did not know how to get himself out. And so when you're in the mud, you just keep spinning the wheel thinking that you're doing something right, and you're not really doing anything right. So these kids, they know him as their father.
And because he didn't get any of his paperwork together
at all,
the mother is coming for child support.
Absolutely.
And that's where I get offended when it comes to Ashley, because I'm just like, you said yes to this man, but she asked for paperwork and he did not deliver on any of that because he ain't got it. So that means you are with this man And even if he's saying, okay, they're quote unquote sperm children, the mother has every right to come for that money, and that'll impact that household, their new household together. Ashley's very confident in where she stands. She's been on several podcasts, and she even said in the reunion that she trusts her husband and she's happy to be with him. But the situation is very hairy. I'll just say that.
Extremely.
I'm hearing about the majority of this in real time. Delora, I know you had dropped a video of Ashley's interview on a podcast recently, and that was kind of reading the comments was the first I was hearing about it, because I didn't go down the rabbit hole of trying to look into what happened with Tyler with this whole situation. And it's very disappointing, because they were far and away my favorite couple on the show. I mean, I was definitely rooting for Ashley and Tyler. Definitely seemed like it was a genuine connection, friendship, relationship. So I'm super disappointed. I just don't understand, for one, why Tyler, I guess, hid it the way that he did, and also what is going to happen now between them, because there's no way public perception is going to change given what is already out there about them. So that's sad.
It is sad.
It is sad. I just feel like he should have. The bottom line is, you know, whether the baby mama is doing this to get attention or Tyler is secure in where he stands in the whole situation, this should have been communicated in the pods. She should not have learned about any offspring this far in the process. I think that was very dangerous. I don't know how red this flag has to be, but she decided, I'm going to stick beside him. Okay.
And I feel bad for the kids if they know this as their father.
Yes!
Father. Absolutely.
Yes!
He abandoned them. He abandoned them.
That part too. The children. Oh, and to be called, quote, sperm baby.
Sperm babies. Oh my goodness.
Yep. That's awful. All right, y'all. We're at the reunion. I call this reunited, but does it feel so good? We have the most useless host of the show, Nick and Vanessa Lachey. How do they keep this job? This job should have easily been transferred to Kim and Lauren 3 seasons ago. You know what I mean?
They don't want any parts of that. They don't want any parts of it.
Oh my god.
It was the pun. It was just the puns for me. I was like, is this supposed to be funny?
Y'all.
No joke is landing for me.
None of them.
At all. Nick.
Speaking of taking naps, Alex, this isn't about you.
Nick Lachey is a dad who just needs to be at home with his kids. And Vanessa Lachey is a mom who just needs to be with her other mom friends, having dinner somewhere. We do not need you all as the host of this show anymore. I think the public opinion for some time has been, please replace them. But Netflix, I guess that I'm gonna stick beside them. Netflix.
Well, I
think it going.
The best hosts for reality shows, the hosts have to be messy. Like, you cannot try to be like above board and like cute. You need the Andy Cohens. Like, you got to be a little messy, a little catty on these reunions. That's the energy. That's what's missing.
So what did y'all think about everybody's glow up?
Who the fuck was Hannah? When that lady came out on stage, I said, who is this?
What did they say? Oh, Zembic. She was definitely
girl, and she was
like 20, good though.
20 shades darker. I said, how much spray tan did she put on?
So with that, Ashley, I'm glad you brought that up, because I would love to know, what does a grenade look like?
Damn.
Don't know what that means.
I think he means her body was shaped like a grenade. You know how it's like thick up top and like gets, you know how a grenade
Oh my
looks. I think that's exactly
gosh.
I think he was describing, I thought that's what he meant. And he was describing her body type, her body silhouette. That's what I thought he meant. Maybe he just meant like she was a bomb. That's white man speak for like she was a dud. But I literally was like, oh, is he trying to say that's how her body is shaped? Like, damn.
No clue. Zero.
He wasn't going to explain it either.
He
And he
wasn't
was
going to
not.
confess. This is the
Nothing.
problem. I was like, oh, Nick, like,
But
just go ahead.
It was so funny because Prince Naveen was so raked through the coals that he was like, okay, that's Ramses, y'all. Somebody called him that, and that took me out on the internet.
Called him what?
Prince Naveen.
Oh my gosh.
He was raked through the coals, among other things. He was like, man, you know what you said about her. So the thing about this reunion that was confusing to me, especially when it came to Hannah and Nick, was like, she was like, you know what you did. You knew what your goals were. And I'm like, I hear that you feel justified, but we didn't see any of this. So this seems like you're grasping for straws. Like I didn't get what she was trying to say about him, like other than he wasn't what he portrayed himself to be. So did we just all get gaslit by Nick then? Is that what happened?
She's trying to change the narrative because she realizes she's been the villain. So she like, if I'm going down, hold on. Let me pull you down into the mud with me a little bit because you are not this angel. I think what Marissa described him as like, oh, it's like we're kicking a puppy dog or like golden retriever, something like that she called him. Like, oh, he's just not this squeaky clean person y'all think he is.
I have to say, I was surprised, and you all mentioned that previously. I was really surprised on how they stood up for each other because I don't think I remember a cast being this close, with one another. I wish Garrett would have pushed back against Tim. I don't appreciate Tim being a part of any of these festivities because again, how he did Alex, was she perfect? Absolutely not. But I just felt like that was so wrong. Oh, so I saw this tweet and I had to share. This is from Sydney Noir. She was like, Black men were poorly represented on this season of Love is Blind. Tyler is a baby daddy of 3 kids. Prince Naveen with the 2 locks, don't want kids, but don't want to be sexually responsible and use protection. And Tim is an emotionally stunted Augusta native. Terrible. But I have to admit, Ashley and I commented on how many, Black people of color was on the season, and the way it all came to be wasn't giving us the best, Black love example. There were no Obamas and Michelles in this batch
at all.
Wasn't expecting it from this show, though. I think those would be very high expectations of Love is Blind.
But these are grown-ass people, Ashley. We talked about how this skews to the 30s,
They are, but this is still a reality show.
It absolutely is. And the way that Tyler was saying, he did an interview talking about how he got cast for the show. They found him on LinkedIn and somebody reached out to him, and they look for these people who will obviously provide ratings. So again, it just reinforces my opinion that it was at its purest during season 1. And I really, just while we're in the reunion, I thought it was really poor taste to introduce the cast of season 8 while they were there, like the new members of the new cast that's coming up. It just they're slowly chipping away at the purity of the show, the reasons why we all started watching it from the beginning. So it'll just continue to get messier, I'm sure. But yeah,
I'm glad you brought that up because I was confused by that. I was like, has their experiment ended? Because how are they seeing each other? The whole point.
You have to remember, these people have been married for a year.
Yeah, for a year. Mm-hmm.
So those people have already gone through their cycle.
Yep. But whoever is married already.
Yeah, I was super confused. Maybe just because I'm used to like Bachelor Nation, where, they announce the next Bachelor, Bachelorette, but they haven't gone through their season necessarily yet. So,
Yeah.
got it.
But they took something away, I think, from all the viewers by doing that, by showing you, hey, here's the new drama that's coming up. And then that one will be out February 14th. It starts. So
Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day, how appropriate.
Anything else from the reunion that stood out to you all?
I'm glad they cut
Besides
off Alex and Tim because that was getting just
messy.
Ooh. Ooh. And somebody said it looks like y'all haven't spoken since the last time y'all talked.
Truly, you're right. Probably needed to, but they're not going to get anywhere. So because Tim is stunted, he is emotionally stunted.
Um,
So
for the weddings, I forgot to mention between Taylor and Garrett, both of their parents were married on the 13th and they got married on the 13th. I thought that was so sweet.
mhm.
I was like, oh, did y'all have a favorite dress or favorite situation when it came to the weddings?
Taylor looked great. I loved her dress. Even though we only have the two to choose from.
Girl,
Um,
that's another thing. I was like, so we only got 2 weddings this
two
season?
weddings.
Wow.
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
It hit me too. I was like, there's only two. Oh, yeah, there is only two.
Yeah.
I definitely preferred Taylor's dress to Ashley's, but I also wish Taylor's dress had been long. Like, I liked it once she got to the reception and she threw back on her Converse. I thought that was super cute.
Yeah.
But during like the ceremony, I was like, oh, I wish it was like long and really well fitted because I thought the top portion fitted her so beautifully. And I loved the shoulders, drapery, and all of that. So I just wanted it longer. Otherwise, I thought her dress was beautiful. Ashley's,
Liked
sorry.
both of them. I love a good lace moment that Ashley had, and then I enjoyed Taylor's dress as well with the satin and her little bow. I thought that was cute. But let's talk about Garrett's makeover. So shortly after Hannah, G was looking like a G.
Okay. I thought it was a wig.
I do like the longer hair. I think his bangs need to be a little bit longer for it to work. But he said he was into fashion. I was like, okay. Taylor's fashion is super cute too. So they're just cute, 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 cute. All right. Any final thoughts for Love is Blind season 7?
I'm rooting for everybody to figure it out. Inevitably. Like, I hope y'all figure it out.
I will be interested to see if Ashley and Tyler stay together. I think they will because I think Ashley just really wanted to be a wife. Taylor and Garrett, absolutely rooting for them. We'll see what happens next season. I've been a watcher, viewer all this time, so we'll see what next season has to bring.
Well, you keep us posted, Alia, because I ain't watching no more of this shit. Okay. This was it.
This is our very first reality TV recap, and I thought it'd be fun to do something different to, reinvigorate our audience. Possibly, I don't know. It was an opportunity. So, my final thoughts. This was definitely an entertaining season. My little heart was not prepared for these breakups. I mean, going through part 1, it was all lovey-dovey, but this part 2 was like balls to the walls or something. Like, it was brutal. Okay. But it was entertaining nonetheless. And again, these are real life people who definitely want their 15 minutes, but I hope that they find love in the process.
Oh, I forgot. I do have one more thing. Leo and Brittany now being BFFs. I didn't see that coming.
Oh,
I did not see that coming.
And I'm glad they called him out because we said this, and I even said this to you, Alia, in our private conversation, for somebody who is trying to go through an experiment to, be their authentic self and not be known for their looks or money. He obviously did not have a personality, if that's because he relied on his money.
He had to lean on it. Yeah.
So much. I'm like, sir, all right. If there's nothing else, time for hidden gems.
Mine is short and sweet this week because I don't have any hidden gems. I already talked about enjoying Moana 2 last week when we did headlines and hot topics, but otherwise I do not have any hidden gems this week, but check back with me next week. What about you, Alia?
Silo on Apple TV. I read the book and the series is different than the book. However, I am, I think, enjoying the TV series more than I did the books. So.
Well, we're going to have to talk because Silo has been one of my hidden gems, and I'm also watching season 2, but I have not read the book. So I had no reference point. I remember being blown away by season 1. Like, oh my God, this is the best show on Apple TV. What are we talking about? So good to know now I have somebody to talk to.
Oh, yeah.
My hidden gem is a hidden, and we talked about it last week, and I just want people to know, go see Wicked in theaters. It is phenomenal. Ashley and I took time to talk to it in our hot topics. Go see it. It's so freaking good. It's so good. It is worth all the time and money. So that's all I have today.
All right, Alia, thank you again so much for joining us for this recap.
It
was so much fun.
Thank you for having me. This was a joy.
Love and heartbreak and reality TV all mixed together.
Yeah.
All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us for this episode. We appreciate it. Please share it with everybody you know. We will be back. But in the meantime, as always, be blessed.
Bye.